Right, continuing. Here we'll discuss configuring a router as a DHCP client. There are scenarios where you might have access to a server through your ISP. In these instances, you can configure a router as a DHCP client. Right, so we've already looked at configuring a router as a server. Now we look at instances where you can configure a router as a client. Right, other clients we know and devices is very easy. They will definitely need an IP address. But route interfaces can also be assigned addresses dynamically. So perfect example is where you have your ISP also configured to provide IP addresses dynamically. So in this example, you have this is our service provider, and it is assigning addresses dynamically. So what it will mean is this router, this is our router in our office, in our home office, small office, home office. So this router in this interface will need to be assigned with this command. It will need to be configured with that command so that the interface is able to automatically get an IP address from the server. In all the networks, I think that we've been doing and practicing on, we were manually configuring the interfaces, IP addresses of the interfaces, which we were then using as the default gateways of our networks. We were manually configuring them. In an instance where the service provider is dynamically assigning addresses, it is then useful that this interface is configured to dynamically be assigned an IP address. And this is where one instance where we have a router being acting as a DHCP version 4 client. There we have an example where we have the interface, the Gig Ethernet 001, configured with the command which allows it to be assigned an address from the ISP. So in this case, our router will act as a host and it will get an address from the service provider. In all the cases, the basic cases that we've been doing, the end devices with the clients which were getting addresses from the server, from the DHCP server. In this case, we have the router acting as a client and getting an address from the service provider. Same thing with our home routers. These are our wireless routers. I think we'll take a look at them later on when we do wireless lines. So routers, wireless routers, same difference. If need be, they need an IP address from the service provider, then they will need to be configured to dynamically get those addresses from the service provider. So this is another example of wireless routers getting addresses from the service provider. Right. That said, uh, let's quickly look at how we configure IP addresses using DHCP. I think very simple steps. I'm going to be using exactly this. Right. So this is the network that I'm going to be using. I go to my packet tracer. I'd already set up the topology for that. So let me do this. Right. So here we have two local area networks. This one on the left will take the addresses 192.168.10.0/24. On the right, they will take 192.168.11.0/24. Those are the network addresses. So I'm going to be configuring this router to act as a server. So these all the devices in this local area network will be getting addresses from the pool that I configure here. I'm also going to be configuring another pool where the addresses on this right line .11.0 also get their addresses from this router, which will be acting as a server. So to start, I configure the interfaces of my router, which will be used as the default gateways on my networks. So we go to interface gig Ethernet 00. Its IP address is let me see. So 00 is on the left. On the left, we have 192.168.10.0. So we use 10.1 as our address here. 192.168.10.1. The reason why I'm doing this, part of our assessments will require you to also do the same. I think there will be a section on your skills assessment where you need to be configuring IP addresses. And it's actually a very simple thing to do. So those are the addresses of my first interface. I activate the link, then I assign the other one on interface 001. Its IP address, I only change here, is 11.1. Then I also activate this one. And I verify my addresses, interface brief. So we have 10.1 for 000, then we have 11.1 for 001. My IP addresses are there. I start defining my pool, starting by excluding addresses. So I'll use the same example that is being used on my left side here. Here we've excluded address .1, .2 up to .9. Like I said, those addresses that are being excluded are the addresses which are manually assigned to certain hosts in the network. Servers especially, they need static addresses. The interface that we've just assigned an IP address, this one, these are static addresses that are assigned on the interface. So they will need to be excluded from the pool, which is going to be configured on the network. So excluding our addresses, IP DHCP, excluded addresses. So we have 192.168.10.1, then 192.168.10.9. I'm not going to exclude the other one with 254. I think this will be enough for me. So these are the excluded addresses for the local area network on my left here. I'm also going to exclude addresses for the local area network on the right. I'll use the same command, just change here 11. So from the first 10 addresses from 1 to 9, is it 10 or 9? It should be 9. Both local area networks, I'm going to be excluding. I'm going to be excluding them. So I've excluded my addresses. Then I go to create my pool. Uh, Pool name. Let's just call it line left. This is our left line. Then we go to the DHCP configuration mode where we can then enter all the settings of our pool. So starting with the network, which network are we using for the left line? The network is 192.168.10.0 with the mask 0, right? Then the default gateway. What is the default gateway for the left line? 192.168.10.1. the server, okay, the server is using a server which is in the other network, DNS server. Let's use that one as well, 192.168.11 is 5. So it means this .5 address is also part of the excluded addresses that we configured for the right LAN. I think it's there. Here, .5 is also part of those excluded addresses, which makes sense, right? So the server is there. Then we have domain name .com and right. So automatically, if we go to a device on our left line, and we try to assign an address using DHCP, you can see DHCP request is successful. And we've been assigned an address which is not part of the excluded addresses. .10 is not part of the excluded addresses. The default gateway is there. Our DNS server is there as well. So this is part and package of the offer message, which is sent by the server. Then on this side, we are yet to configure the pool, which addresses this right side. So I think if we go to DHCP, we will not be able to get an address there. DHCP failed, APIPA is being used. So an address from APIPA is assigned to this device. Right, let's go back to static and let's create our pool. So the same configurations, almost the same, that we created the first one with. So we start with excluding. We've already excluded addresses. We create our pool. So this is now the right one. LAN, right line. Right line, we go to the network. The network is now .11.0. We go to the default route. It's now .11.1. We go to the server. Let's use the same server. So the server, let's use this one, it's the same. Then we have, what else? The domain name. Let's use the same domain name. I think basically that's it. So for our server, let's manually assign an IP address on this one. So 192.168.11.5, and our default gateway is .11.1. It can't use itself as a server, can it? Right. Then just to see if we can get an address, and voila. Here we also have 11.10, the address assigned, 11.1, the default gateway, 11.5, DHCP request successful. So DHCP version 4 done, and I think it's a very simple and straightforward chapter, module. Any questions? Okay, if we don't have any questions, I think that's it for this one. Join us in the next module. We discuss module 8, DHCP version 6. Thank you very much for attending the session.